I just feel like those of us in Spot just to feel like sometimes I can't really be like so academic these days. Like my brain is not functioning 100% properly. I mean, it's functioning exactly as it's supposed to be functioning, which is just kind of like in a feeling kind of way, like a being kind of way, in my body and my emotion. I can't really get into some high fastidious right now. So forgive me, because I was going to talk about how Tzedaka is accessing the highest levels of Hashem, and I was going to walk you through that whole process. And I just felt that wasn't the energy that I could share today. So what I did want to share is about this cup. And what's so cool about this cup is that it's an expandable cup. And so this is a mashal for us. We can either be in a state of contraction, human, heavy, just that dense energy, or we can expand, and in all the spaces, we can let the light of Hashem enter. And so I wanted to use this example as a way that we could think about forgiveness, because we can forgive on a very basic level. I forgive you. You wronged me in some way. Yom Kippur's coming. I got to forgive you. I'm going to do the best I can. But at the end of the day, if I just say the words, I forgive you, that suffices. Okay, on that level, you can, on this level of being human, this is the human level, okay? This is the expanded godly level. And on the level of human, we can say, I forgive you, and that really, it really counts. And we could go a step further, and we can say, I really, really forgive you. I'm I didn't mean I forgive you, I mean, I'm sorry, for my brain. I'm sorry. You can say, I'm sorry, and it's just the words, I'm sorry, and that counts. You know, you're doing you're giving mechila. You're not giving, you're asking for mechila. The next step would be that you say, I'm sorry, I'm really, really sorry. Like you really, really mean it. And it's coming from a deeper place within yourself. But it's still, I would say, not the expanded version of yourself. You're trying to, but because you're going to make a mistake again. You know how many times, just, you know, getting personal for a minute, my kids are all home right now, and not so focused on all the time, because I have a million other things that I have to be doing. And so again, last night, my daughter was like, Mommy, you sat down at the table with me, but you weren't with me. And I was like, I'm sorry, like that really feels yucky. And I really, really meant it. But am I not going to do that again? I don't know, because I'm human, right? So the third level is I really, really see her pain. I see my potential to rise above my humanness. And from that place, I can say, I'm sorry. And I can meet it from a much deeper place, from a place where the light of Hashem is entering into me. And what do I mean by that? It means that I can expand myself out of my regular human way of being, which is just my reactive going through life. Everything is just, you go through life like your normal way with all your programs, and you wake up in the morning, do the same thing. You say the same things to your husband. You have the same arguments. You have the same conversations with your family. It's just, we're kind of on repeat. We're like, you know, we're just kind of doing the stuff that we always do. But what we're being called to do now is to expand into a place where our godliness is first and foremost. And I feel like this is, you know, what the Rebbe always says, open your eyes, and to be living in a Geula reality. And truth be told, where we are as a Jewish people right now, we have to go to this place. We can no longer just be in that place of contracted, this feels normal to me, I'm just going to do what I always do, and I made a mistake, I'm going to say I'm sorry. No, now we have the opportunity to really allow ourselves the full potential of who we are. And I had this like really interesting experience. I was doing a meditation, which, just if you know me, like I don't really do so many meditations. That's how bad I was feeling with everything that's going on, that I was like, I actually need to do a meditation. So I did this meditation with Shifra Hendry. She did this divine matrix, or whatever it was. And like halfway through, I had this crazy experience of just literally expanding. And I was just like, there's so much possibility within me that I'm not even aware of. And if I can just expand myself up and out into allowing my true essence of who I am, my soul, to kind of fill in the cracks of who I am, anything's possible. And instead of being like, no, my daughter, I'm always gonna let her down because that's what I do. I let her down, and she loves to make me feel that I'm letting her down. There's like a dance. Everyone, we all have these little dances that we all play in our lives with whoever it is. And all of a sudden, I reminded myself that, like, wait, I can expand up and become something greater than who I am in my humanness. And I just thought that was just such a beautiful idea. And I started playing around with it just in my daily life. When things would happen and I would feel very contracted and I feel like I can't, it's too much for me, I can't do it. I would just have this like vision of myself expanding out and up to potentials that I didn't even know were possible. And instead of limiting myself based on my own intellect, my own experience, my own emotions that I've already had in the past, and I'm just repeating my experience of life, I was just like, wait, there's something beyond what I know about myself, and I'm going to give myself permission to access that place. And it was actually very liberating because it was just saying there's possibility beyond what I know who I am. So in my work, I do energy work. And one of the things that my clients right now is very ill with the makom. It's not a good situation. And one of the things that I spoke to him about was the potential of a possibility of who you could be without what you think you are now, and without limiting what Hashem can do for you. And it was really, again, like this idea of like opening this up. The reason I like this so much is because there's all these spaces in between where Hashem can enter in. And also it's a cup. And so Hashem can pour himself into you. And that's what he's doing. And a lot of times we know this, but we don't become this because we still feel so stuck in this place of this is who I am. And even though Hashem is saying that, no, but I love you and you're like my child, it's like what you were saying, Remington, about can you forgive yourself? Can you get to a place where you don't feel guilt that you're not perfect? Can you really be a full cup? Or are you gonna keep yourself contracted in this place of limitations on who you think you can be? So when it comes to forgiveness, I just thought we could talk about this in terms of three things: forgiveness, healing, and health. Forgiveness is the beginning process of, okay, I'm going to step into this mode of forgiveness, or I'm going to say, I'm sorry. But when you say, I'm sorry, are you just trying to get past it? Are you just trying to be like, okay, I just did this and I just want to move on, and I did the mitzvah and I want to move on? Or am I seeing this as an opportunity? Are you guys want to turn on the, yeah, okay. Everyone's like, yeah. And so what I think is so amazing is when somebody wrongs us and we get into a situation where it's triggering, I'm just gonna, too cold.
No, that's fine. No, it's not.
It's okay.
We have a new modern system here. Wait.
So what I really want to focus on is this idea of why do we get into these positions where we have to have forgiveness? Like, why does it have to be that someone wrongs us or we wrong another person? Like, what is that? It's just, we take it for granted. Like, okay, we have interpersonal relationships and somebody does something to you and you do something to them and it hits your triggers and you get, you get offended or you get frustrated or you feel abandoned or you feel neglected or all of these normal emotions that we have. And so in a normal state, I would say like pre-enlightenment state, we could say like, okay, my husband forgot my birthday and so I feel rejected and I feel he doesn't love me and I don't feel safe. And so now I'm going to be passive aggressive and we're going to play this thing. And then, but then I'm codependent. So I don't want him to be upset. He's whatever. But okay. You know what I'm saying? So the point is like, why does all that happen to begin with? It's because Hashem is using the people in our lives to hold up a mirror for what we have to work on in ourselves. And so instead of just looking at the forgiveness as like something that I'm taking off my chart of all the people that, I'm going down, I'm like, hey, I have to forgive them, and then I have to send them a message, I'm sorry, whatever, can you forgive me? No, it's like, why, what is it about that relationship that triggered something in me that I can learn something from? And the purpose of learning from that is so that I can become my expanded self, that I can be really a reflection of Hashem. I can be an open cup. I can receive from Hashem, and I can be like the windows of the Beit Medrash, where I'm shining my light out into the world, which is what when we all shine our light out into the world, that's when the Beit Medrash is going to come. When we're not in that contracted state. And so what I'm offering is this idea that when we are in a position of needing to forgive, it's really to ask yourself, where am I needing to heal inside myself? And then when we do that work and we're able to heal inside ourselves and we get to a place of healed, so to speak. I mean, you might still feel like a little bit triggered here and there, but like on a certain level, in this particular instance of, say, feeling abandoned, and then you do attachment work with your mother or your parents or this or that, and you get to the place where you really like understand why you triggered in this way, and then you get to this place where you're like, okay, I'm actually loved, and I don't have to continue to go into this place to find people who are going to love me and give me what I need. I'm just going to be whole in this place. And then in that place of healing, I can be this shining light of Hashem in the world. And so that is the ultimate purpose of this whole process of forgiveness in my understanding, is to get to a place of healed, to get to a place of expanded. I'm actually a reflection of Hashem in this world. We know that we are actually a reflection of Hashem in this world. We were created in God's image. And we were creating God's image with the 10 spheros of Chochmah, Bina, Das, and Chesed, Tiferes, Nesod, and Malchus. That's actually how Hashem creates the world. That's how Hashem creates us. And that's also connected to the divine name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, as we know. I mean, I think we all know that the Chochmah represents the right brain, and the Bina represents the left brain, and then the Midos represent our body, our right arm and our left arm, and our right leg and our left leg, and it's like a reflection of Hashem in this world. So when we imitate Hashem by having compassion, by having forgiveness, by doing all these things, we become literally a reflection of Hashem in this world, and it becomes so that it's a part of us. It's not just something that we do. And so I guess I would just offer this opportunity right now, since we're all sitting around, and I don't know about anybody else, but I don't really get to like reflect on my life so much in like the day-to-day. I mean, maybe you guys have more time to do that than some of us, but I just think it would be an opportunity now to think about one place in your life where you feel contracted. And we could actually, if somebody wants to, we could maybe walk through, if anybody want to do that, like what you would have to do to get to a place of expansion. Or we could just kind of do it in our own minds. And if somebody wants to, I can also offer up just a forgiveness exercise that we could do as a group. Yeah.
I'll volunteer something if it's not relevant, you say so. But my son just entered. He had been in God.
Her son just entered Lebanon, and he had been in Miluim.
He was in Miluim earlier on, Gaza and North and everything. And I noticed when he came out, what I had going through when he was in. It was definitely very much felt like what you're describing in terms of the contraction.
When he came back, you came to a contracted place.
I came to an expanded.
To an expanded
in other words,
place.
like I was so busy trying to keep my emotions in a place where I could function, but there was tremendous contraction. So I'm very much relating to what you're telling me. And now he's there now.
So, okay, so let's talk about that contraction. Like, what does that, first of all, what does that feel like for you in your body?
Well, it feels certainly like I'm not my whole self. It does feel protective. And that may be a key to why we contract. It feels, yeah, just like a whole part of me is kind of numbed at the moment.
Right, which makes perfect sense. As a normal human being, your child is in danger. And so in order to control the situation in whatever way you can, you keep yourself from falling apart. So if we were really like fully aligned with like bitachon and Hashem's version of who we are, our ultimate version of ourselves. Actually, I want to just say one more thing about this cup. If the cup is a body, the body itself is either contracted or expanded. The expanded godliness comes through the body. It's not like our soul is like out here in some other place and it's just kind of shining down on us and affecting us. I mean, there are aspects of our soul that do that, but just in the day-to-day experience, we are having this whole experience of either being contracted or being expanded, not having bitachon, not being in tshuva, being in tshuva. We're experiencing all these things as a human being in a body. So I think that's really important to just keep in mind that how awesome we are that Hashem is actually using our body and our experience of human life to be the channel for this whole process of redemption. It's coming through us. It's not coming in some other way. You're being able to get to a place of bitachon and expansion when your son is in Gaza would mean that the soul that's in here is shining through all the cracks. And that place of bitachon, which is like, can you do anything about your son? Others, yes, you can pray and you can get tzedaka and you can do mitzvahs, so you can have other people do that. Simcha. The more simcha you have, that you trust Hashem is 100% protecting your child. And that's where you can give your power instead of holding your power, clamping down and being like, that's where you become a channel for God. That's where you do this. When you do this, then you're bringing them to the good luck.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the visual. I was sitting there and I was like, how can I explain this? And this is really, I mean, I didn't really have so much. I really don't have so much to say.
Oh my God. Well, watch it. I've got a whole business plan.
No, I don't know. I was saying my brain is not really, but this, I feel like we can carry this with us. You know, it can just be like, am I here today or am I here? And it's from moment to moment. It's moment to moment. When you are in, and this is where it's so important to be aware.
Can you say it again? Am I doing it?
Am I here? Am I here? No, the point is, this is a moment to moment avoda. It's a moment to moment avoda. It says, Hashem says we should be, it says in the time, we should be doing tshuva all the time. Tshuva is not just for these days. I mean, yes, it's especially for these days because Hashem is very close to us in these days. And if we seek him, he can be found. And if we call to him, he can be near. And this is also another, this is something that I actually learned intellectually, which I'm not going to remember exactly, but why does it say that you seek Hashem and he can be found, you call on Hashem and he could be near? It seems like just like poetic, beautiful, poetic, repetitive talk. It's because there's seeking Hashem as a servant and there's calling out to Hashem as a father. And each one of those has different levels of connection. When you are as a servant and you're just doing everything right, you're saying, I'm asking for forgiveness and you're checking through the lists and you're doing everything and you made the right kugels and everything's like, but where's the father aspect of it? And it's only with the father that you actually have the feeling. And that's why we have this sequence was very powerful because it was saying during these days we have the capacity to actually feel Hashem's love for us, not just know it, but actually feel Hashem's love for us. And I think the way we do that is when we get to this expanded state, and you have to take a huge risk to be able to step into that bitachon because you're holding on for dear life to the safety of your son. And you're like, but if I only do this, and if I keep it in control, and if I do this and I do that, like it's okay, and and to be able to be like, no, Hashem, you're amazing, and I totally love you, and I trust you, and I'm gonna dance, and that's a tremendous vulnerability. But when you have that level of vulnerability, you feel the connection. You feel it because you've taken a risk and you've allowed yourself to go into this expanded state where that energy is flowing through you. I mean, if we just think about it as a nation, this is also true. On October 7th, we went like this, and then people were going like this, and they were like, oh shit, let's go, we gotta wake up. And so more and more people were like, hey, I can do this, I can expand out, I can have Bituach, I can forgive, and the nation, you see, the nation is growing, the nation has changed because there's more godly light that we've allowed into our being. And so I'll take your question in 1 minute. I just want to say, when we witness our body, it's all happening in our body. So when you're sitting there and all of a sudden you get that, everyone has it in a different place, it's like you're here, you have it here, you have it here, your sciatica starts acting up, whatever it is, this is where you're like, Hashem is speaking to me. Hashem is speaking to me. This is a great moment for me to figure out what's going on inside of myself. What is happening? Why is this happening? It's a present. You might think like, oh, like I'm gonna have to stand up and do all the dishes while my sciatica is ready. But I'm like, I start asking myself, wow, thank you so much. What is this about? Where do I need to heal? Something's broken. I'm here. What do I need to do to open myself to some light? And that's the thing I mentioned about that patient that I was working on. When you're contracted, you don't let the light into the places to allow Hashem to come in. So anyway, yeah, Jody.
Good. Yeah. Well, all day long, like if I'm in my house or in my bathroom or my safe room, I sort of feel expanded, but then when I'm in a trapped place. And then I'm like, well, what if I take a shower and the siren goes off? If I go out, the siren goes off. And what if I go here and there and I think about we went that whole day without a siren. And then I can't, it's hard for me to be expanded when I'm like I'm here and I go places, but then I'm back and forth and back and forth. And I want to be in that expanded place wherever I am.
Exactly. And this is why Tzfat, it says that when Mashiach comes, it's coming through the north, the northern border, that's the final closing, the final mem. It's the northern border has to be sealed because we're actually doing this work of expanding ourselves to let the light of Hashem shine through. We are doing this every minute of the day. When you're living in America, you can read the news and be like, oh, those poor people in Tzfat. But we actually do this every day.
For a month, the whole month of September, when you guys were going for your major barrages. Yeah. So I was for the analogy of how do you boil a frog? You put in warmer and warmer and warmer water. I was telling from that place, you guys were slowly getting boiled, but I was over there worried and my family and everyone. But when I came back to this new reality, which wasn't the reality I left on September 1st. So I don't even know what I'm saying here.
But yes.
I think there's something that said the difference between fear and love. So if you're fearful, or if you know Hashem is there, no matter what happens, even if you do, it's all good. It's all for the best. All, it's a good job. But I said in my head that yes, the final man will be what the final man will look.
Oh, there's a word you would probably know the exact. You don't know? Okay, there's somewhere in the Tanakh. I don't know where there's a final mem, which is an actual square in the middle of a word. The final mem is supposed to be at the end of a word. It's in the middle of a word, and that is a remez to Mashiach. And I don't remember the word. I apologize, but it represents the closing of the northern side. That's what the final mem represents, and that's what we're doing. We are closing up the final. That's what the whole nation is doing, but the whole Klal Yisrael is doing, but we're dafka on the border here, and it's not for nothing that we're on the border. Yes,
I think,
Jody.
what Jody was saying, when I was learning the paper called, the base lady on the phone, you have to have kind of a plan in advance. You're like, okay, no breathing exercises, or I'm gonna pick a chart to home, or to Helen, or you call a friend, but she's saying it like all of us, we're going up and down, we're having times where we're freaking out. You have to have a plan for when you're freaking out.
100%. You have to have a plan. And in addition to that, there is the idea that you can train your brain through Hasidus. And this is why Saraya of Tzfat, which is the second book of the Tanya, it begins by saying a tzaddik falls 7 times. A tzaddik falls 7 times, and when he is in mid-air, he can fall on the teachings of what it says in Torah Learning, which is essentially Eino Tovado. You can always fall when you're in a free fall. If you just say to yourself, Eino Tovado, and you know what it actually means, you're okay. Because then you're like, okay, Hashem's in charge, do this. Like you were saying, beautifully, like Hashem is in charge. He is creating the reality as it's happening in every moment. He knows if I'm gonna, you know what? Someone, God forbid, could be in a traffic accident. The chances of getting hit by a missile is so low. Thank God, because we're being protected.
But that's weird.
So yeah, so this is where healing comes in. This is where I would say, no,
like calmly to the safe space.
okay, so you know what? Next time, so this is what Doba was saying. Next time you hear a siren, say, I am going to sashay into the space and sashay out of the space, and I'm okay. Like, just tell yourself that, and have your husband or whoever else is there to remind you, sashay, because you.
Well, there's this concept of the siren, like Rosh Hashanah is all about shir, and this year is peh, is all about the mouth. So someone, I think it was Riva Muna, who said, like, we have to sing whenever we hear the siren. Just sing your way through, like, your mouth, like bring it out in voice instead of the feel, like change it over from the sound. Or join in the sound. Like you see all these children, I'm noticing, how do the children overcome it? They actually make the sound of the siren. Yeah, and it's like a profound, because that's how they're dealing with the fear of it. So
Siren's a shofar.
Yeah.
But this is the other thing in terms of what you're saying, which is so beautiful. So the Rebbe was explaining about Dear Shu Hashem, so where search for Hashem where he's found, and call to him where he's near. And the Rebbe goes on and it says, why does it kora'u or whatever it's call? I'm sorry, me in my. So where does it say that it says call? He says because you have to use your mouth. You actually have to call out to Hashem and say, where are you, Tati? I need you, or I want you, or I love you, or whatever it is, you have to use your mouth. Because why? Because, and Jody, this is connected to what you're saying, is because you need to bring it all the way down through all of your Esther, Kochos, and Nefesh, through your mind, through your heart, and out through your mouth. And that way you become, sorry guys, a full channel where your entire being, your mochet, and your midos, and your garments become a reflection of Hashem. Yes.
The example of that, you look up and everything. We were like playing music. That again, that characters, that distraction, that makes me light. So I looked up the men.
Oh, thank you.
In lovely there and the men in the middle of the word. And I think the one you're looking for is Yeshaya. It says the Marba had this sweat. Marba, that ends with that one is closed men, then the men. With the shalom intake, I'll keep the double Baal Mamlok.
Yeah.
Lakino Frau is the Adam, the Shpat, the Kamya, Kavya, the one, at Hashem,
and it means to increase the rule, and for the word increase, that's where the men is, and the rule and for peace without end upon the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and sustain it with justice and righteousness from now and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will accomplish.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, and what is it? Marbe. What an increase, people, increase. This is what we need to be doing. I'm sorry, I'm like loving this, but it's, that's it, like.
Can you give us the number?
It's on every cell of our DNA.
Every single, and that's the thing, right? This is happening on every single level of your being. This is happening in your mochen. This is happening in your emotions. It's happening in love. It's happening in contraction. Are your boundaries? It's happening in your empathy. It's happening in your nitzachon. It's happening in your gratitude. This expansion is happening in every aspect of who you are, in your thoughts, in your speech, and in your action. This is Marbet. This is where we become the channel for the divine in this world.
Isn't it interesting that if you put water in there, while it's closed, then there will be room when you open it. But if you put it down, the water will come out.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
well, with my friends, my family, and people that I interact with, I can do the type of asking for forgiveness because there's a ground of trust and connection. But are we obligated to forgive our needs like the way we did this? It is a clear and present danger that will not make it. So
No.
it's like against my own self-interest to forgive
No.
it nicely and
No.
be, open to him because he can do that.
Right. Well, it's actually interesting because my son was actually attacked. And he asked the Rav, do I have to offer forgiveness? And he said, if he didn't come to ask for forgiveness from you, you don't have to forgive him. So it has to be that the person, but by the same token, okay, so that's on the human level. But by the same token, when Shimei cursed David Amelech, David Amelech knew that Hashem cursed him, that Shimei was just the actor. So everything that happens to us, for good or for better, there's something that's for us in the story.
That's the story.
Right, but in terms of forgiveness, I mean, you have to ask your Rav, but my son asked the very same question, and he said no. And also, well, we don't have to forgive Amalek,
Can I
So when
say
it's
something?
yeah.
You're speaking to the mind. I was learning 4 years in Winget baby therapy, and we were doing present wise lesson, and we can. I took it as a spine. Sometimes you see old people or even young people that their spine is like that, but we can expand also. You can do a little test. You can expand your arm, then bring them again, and then expand them again, and see you get further. You can take your head back, bring it again here, take it go back, and you'll see more things. Take it to the right, you'll see here, this thing. Take it more, and then you'll see. So we can do this thing also with moving our bones. And when our body is expanding, we are doing the work of guf nefesh.
Yes.
And then we can move and we can be more tnuatim, how you say tnuatim? Motion. We have more, we can be more flexible, motion. No, this is flexibility. And this is also fit, what's fit? How you say spring. So you can even start jumping. It's like not only being like that and open, like wow, I'm exploding. And this also can help people when falling. When there is falling up, falling down, but there is also falling up. You have something working with your body, and you don't fall down. When you feel some emotion, something that you're changing the balance, something in your balance is changing. So the body knows to do something different. And בעזרת באמת ברוך השם in this week, I was like sitting on a chair, but then I don't know, the shelf slipped and then I did like that. And I was like sitting on my knee and I was like, I did it? Sitting on my knee that I didn't fail on my, there I was on my knee. So this is training. So all our bones and muscles, everything can be trained.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you're saying that because when I had this meditative moment, when I felt myself, I felt that I was expanding, my posture changed because I was like, wait, the light of Hashem actually has to come through our bodies. It's not, that's the thing. Body and soul is one thing. It's not some kind of just metaphysical reality. It's like, no, Hashem is actually coming through your body. Actually, that's like a shocking thing to think about. Like, we can understand it, like learn about it, Hasidus, and yes, and whatever, and yes, we're a channel for Hashem, but like actually, our cells hold this light of Hashem through the place where our godly soul and our animal soul meet in our body. Yes.
So one thing I want to say that our bodies have a nervous reaction to whatever stimulus we make scared. And if we can get to the place where we realize that my heart's beating fast, I feel afraid, but I'm having a physical reaction to the fear that I'm not going to live in that place of I'm going to make myself like that question right now. Oh my God, I'm panicking, but I'm not going to let myself live there and realize just let that fear, let those feelings pass, or this down, you just kind of like watch yourself through those emotions, through those physical reactions that are normal human reactions. And get to the place where I
You know, it's very interesting because, thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting because Das, the sphere of Das, is connected to our nervous system. So I always think about this. There's a story about Moshe Meisner, who was a Chassid of the Alter Rebbe. And he was sent by the Alter Rebbe to be a spy in Napoleon's camp. And when Napoleon was trying to take over, I guess he was in Germany or he was in the Ukraine or wherever he was, I don't remember. Because he spoke so many languages, he kind of like figured out a way to get in there and be a spy. And at one point, Napoleon suspected that there was a spy in his inner camp. So he walked over to him and he put his hand on his chest. And the guy started speaking, just like, and he wasn't down out. This story lives with me because I'm like, how come I can't do that in my bomb shelter? I want to know with my Das. What is Das? Das means I get it. I get Ein Od Milvado. I know Hashem is recreating the world at every second to the absolute perfection of reality. I know that so much that my nervous system is calm. That's like, for me, I'm like, I'll get that. But of course, the sirens are at a certain frequency that they dafka go right at your nervous system because they need you to like wake up. So I think that, you know, yeah, we can figure out if we get our partners on. My kids already think I'm completely nuts, so I might as well like do something additional. But like sachet, I love that in the shelter or something to like bring yourself back to that place where you're like, instead of fear, you're in love.
talking about Hashem during this time, and this year's Tafshin Pei now,
right? Yeah, it's very, and not only that, but hey, the hey is connected to the final hey of Hashem's name, which is Malchus. Malchus Beit David. We are in the year of the Malchus Beit David, and it should be. That's why I was like, wait, are those shofars or is that chapel?
Can you add the word Me'al Medida Ve'Agbala? I don't know, this week I got the word Me'al Medida Ve'Agbala, the word of the Rebbe. So it's like penetrated. Me'al Medida Ve'Agbala.
Above limitation.
This also can expand if there was an engineer here. It would make it even more
more
density.
exactly.
that
Yeah.
is more close, and it will be like that. And
Exactly.
it can be like that.
And that's the thing, Ma'al Medidot Hagbalot, that means
That
Medida Hagla, above measure and limitations. That's the thing. This cup is not really good representation, because the truth is, when we enter the space of expansiveness, there are no limitations. There are no limitations, and that's where the other exercise, and if anybody felt like doing, is what would my life, what's possible? Like, we're so stuck in, this is the way it always is, but what is possible? What is possible? Is it possible that really, though Mashiach could blow in the middle of the shofar could blow in the middle of the night? We're like, no, it's not gonna come that way, or do this, and I need that. Like, we already put so many limitations on everything. But it's like, no, anything is possible, anything. Mashiach could come literally right this minute.
Also the year Hey is also code here.
Here, exactly.
So you're just speaking about that. If we're just like right now, I feel like it's also, I've been learning all about this idea that when you live in the now, when you live in the moment, then you're actually getting your ego out. Because what is, when you're focusing in the now, that means you're focusing that anything can happen. Right? Anything is possible.
Right.
And then any, like, the habits are not
The stories. You
The
don't
stories.
have stories in
You don't
the
have
now.
stories.
You don't have stories in the now. Exactly. So I'll give you all a bracha that we're all living in the now, in an absolute expanded space, and that and to have compassion for yourself, because we are humans and we are going to go into contracted places, to witness that with compassion, and to just change your posture and just say, I am an expanded human being. Anything's possible.
we are bringing Mashiach before Shana Rabah. Yesterday, I was looking at ערוץ 12, 11, they had the ceremonies of the 7th of October, but it's not 1 year. 1 year is Shana Rabah. Maybe Shana Rabah will have Mashiach. If we are like that, it goes so fast.
This is gonna be on sale later. Bas Medrash God cups. It comes from Liz also, so it's very multi, okay, so you have a few minutes break, everybody.